Hey, it's Jesus. I know you weren't expecting to hear from me right now, but I need to talk to you about something that's been weighing heavy on your heart. Your finances. I see you right now, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and I see the stress written all over your face. I see the worry lines that have deepened over the past few months. I see the way your shoulders tense up every time you think about money. I see how you check your bank account multiple times a day, hoping somehow the numbers will magically change. I see the anxiety that grips your chest when another bill arrives in the mail. I see you lying awake at 3 in the morning, doing mental calculations, trying to figure out how to stretch what little you have to cover what feels like endless obligations. I see you choosing between paying the electric bill or buying groceries. I see you avoiding phone calls because you know it's another creditor. I see you making excuses to friends about why you can't go out, too embarrassed to admit you simply don't have the money. I see you working extra hours, taking on side jobs, doing everything humanly possible to make ends meet, yet still falling short. I see the exhaustion in your eyes, not just from lack of sleep, but from the constant mental and emotional drain of financial pressure. I see you putting on a brave face for your family, for your kids, pretending everything is okay when inside you're screaming. I see you scrolling through social media, watching everyone else seem to have it all together, wondering what you're doing wrong. I see you questioning whether you're being punished, whether you did something to deserve this struggle, whether I've forgotten about you completely. And child, I want you to know something right now, before we go any further in this conversation. You are not alone in this struggle. You are not the only one going through financial hardship. You are not being punished. You have not been forgotten. And most importantly, you are not going to stay in this situation forever. I didn't call you to this conversation just to acknowledge your pain, though I do see it and I do care deeply about what you're going through. I called you here because I have something to tell you that's going to shift everything. I have a word for you that's going to change your perspective, strengthen your faith, and activate breakthrough in your financial situation. But I need you to give me your full attention for what I'm about to say. I need you to quiet the noise in your mind, the voices of doubt and fear and anxiety, and really hear me. Because what I'm about to tell you is not just wishful thinking or positive affirmations or religious platitudes. This is a prophetic word spoken directly from my heart to yours, backed by all the power and resources of heaven, sealed with my blood, and guaranteed by my character as a covenant-keeping God who has never once failed to provide for his children. So here it is. Here's what I need you to hear and receive right now. Money is coming to you from unexpected places this week. Not next month when you get your regular paycheck. Not in some distant future when things, hopefully, get better. Not someday when you finally catch a break. This week. Within the next 7 days. Before this week ends, you are going to see provision show up in your life from sources you never anticipated, in ways you never imagined, through channels you never even knew existed. I'm about to surprise you with financial blessing that you didn't see coming. I'm about to open doors of opportunity that you didn't even know were there. I'm about to move on hearts to bless you who you would never expect to help you. I'm about to remind you in the most tangible, practical way that I am Jehovah Jireh, the God who provides, and that my system of provision never fails even when man's system seems to be falling apart all around you. Now I know what you're thinking right now. I can hear the skepticism rising up in your mind. I can feel the resistance in your spirit. You're thinking, I've heard this before. I've hoped before. I've believed before. And nothing changed. I'm tired of getting my hopes up only to be disappointed again. I understand that hesitation. I really do. You've been let down so many times that it's hard to believe things could actually be different this time. You've prayed prayers that seemed to go unanswered. You've stood on promises that didn't seem to manifest. You've declared breakthrough that didn't come when you expected it to come. And so now you've built up walls of protection around your heart, afraid to hope too much, afraid to believe too strongly, afraid to get excited about the possibility of change because you don't want to experience the crushing disappointment if it doesn't happen. But child, I need you to hear me on this. Those previous prayers were not wasted. Those declarations were not empty. Those times of believing were not in vain. Everything you've been through, every financial struggle you've endured, every moment of lack you've experienced, it has all been working together for your good, developing something in you that you're going to need for what I'm about to release into your life. See, here's what you don't understand about my timing. When you pray for provision and it doesn't show up immediately, you assume I didn't hear you or I'm not going to answer. But that's not how it works. From the moment you first cried out to me about your financial situation, I heard you. Not just heard in the sense that I acknowledged the sound of your voice, but heard in the sense that I received your prayer, I understood your need, and I immediately set things in motion in the spiritual realm to address your situation. But there's a process that has to happen between the moment I release the answer and the moment you see the manifestation in the natural realm. There are things I have to arrange, people I have to position, circumstances I have to orchestrate, and character I have to develop in you so that when the blessing comes, you're ready to receive it, steward it properly, and use it for the purposes I have in mind. You see, I'm not just interested in meeting your immediate need, though I absolutely care about your bills getting paid and food being on your table. I'm interested in something much bigger than a temporary financial fix. I'm interested in completely transforming your relationship with money, your understanding of provision, and your revelation of who I am as your source. For too long, you've been looking to your job as your source. You've been looking to your paycheck, your employer, your business, your investments, your retirement account, your government benefits, or whatever other natural means of income you have as the thing that provides for you. And when those things are threatened or reduced or taken away, you panic because you think you've lost your source. But child, I need you to understand something fundamental that's going to change everything. Your job is not your source. Your employer is not your source. Your business is not your source. Your spouse's income is not your source. I am your source. Everything else is just a channel through which I choose to provide for you. And when one channel closes or runs dry, I am fully capable of opening up a dozen other channels you never even knew existed. That's what I'm about to demonstrate to you this week. I'm about to show you that even when the normal, expected, predictable channels of provision seem insufficient, I have unexpected sources ready and waiting to release blessing into your life. Let me paint a picture for you of what unexpected sources looks like. It's the refund check you forgot you were owed that shows up in your mailbox this week. It's the friend or family member who feels a sudden prompting in their spirit to bless you financially and follows through on that prompting without you even asking. It's the promotion or raise at work that you didn't apply for, didn't interview for, weren't even aware was being considered, but suddenly your boss calls you in and tells you they're increasing your pay. It's the freelance opportunity or side job that seemingly falls into your lap without you having to search for it. It's the rebate or settlement payment that you'd completely forgotten about arriving just when you need it most. It's the creditor who calls you expecting to collect but instead offers to reduce your debt or set up a payment plan that's actually manageable. It's the anonymous gift that shows up with no explanation of who sent it or why. It's the investment or asset you didn't even realize you had suddenly becoming valuable. It's the skill or talent you possess being noticed by someone who wants to pay you well for it. These are not coincidences. These are not lucky breaks. These are divine setups orchestrated by a God who knows exactly what you need, exactly when you need it, and exactly how to get it to you. But here's what I need you to understand about this week specifically. There's a reason I'm telling you that money is coming this week and not just making a general promise that provision is on the way. This week is significant in the spiritual realm concerning your finances. There has been warfare happening in the heavenly places over your provision. The enemy has been working overtime to block your blessings, to close doors of opportunity, to blind the eyes of those who would help you, to create obstacles and delays and complications that keep provision from reaching you. He knows that when you're stressed about money, you can't focus on your purpose. You can't think about your calling. You can't dream about your destiny. You're stuck in survival mode, just trying to make it through one more day, one more week, one more month. That's exactly where he wants you, because a person who's struggling financially is much less likely to be a threat to his kingdom. You're too busy worrying about bills to wage spiritual warfare. You're too exhausted from working multiple jobs to spend time in prayer and worship. You're too anxious about provision to step out in faith and obey the things I'm calling you to do. So he attacks your finances, hoping it will neutralize your effectiveness for my kingdom. But what the enemy doesn't realize is that he's about to face a major defeat. See, there's a limit to how long I allow the enemy to mess with my children before I step in and put a stop to it. And you've reached that limit. This week, I am personally intervening in your financial situation. I am breaking through every blockage the enemy has set up. I am dismantling every scheme he's used to keep provision from reaching you. I am exposing every lie he's whispered in your ear about being cursed or forgotten or destined to struggle forever. I am silencing every voice of condemnation that's tried to convince you that your financial problems are your fault or that you're being punished for past mistakes. And I am releasing a wave of provision into your life that's going to leave no doubt in anyone's mind that your God is faithful, that your God provides, and that your God keeps his promises. Now I want to talk to you about something that might be uncomfortable, but it's important. One of the reasons you've struggled financially for as long as you have is because there were some lessons I needed you to learn that you could only learn in a season of lack. I know that's hard to hear. I know you wish I had just blessed you with abundance from the beginning and skipped all this struggle. But child, if I had given you financial overflow before you were ready for it, it would have destroyed you. I've seen too many of my children receive blessing before they had the character to handle it, and they ended up worse off than they were before. Money magnifies whatever is already in your heart. If there's pride, money will make you arrogant. If there's selfishness, money will make you greedy. If there's insecurity, money will make you show off to try to prove your worth. If there's lack of self-control, money will enable destructive habits. I had to allow you to go through this season of lack so I could develop in you the character you're going to need for the season of abundance I'm bringing you into. In this season of financial struggle, you've learned some things that people who've always had plenty never learn. You've learned compassion for those who are struggling because you know what it feels like to wonder where your next meal is coming from. You've learned humility because you've had to swallow your pride and ask for help. You've learned gratitude because you've discovered how to be thankful for small blessings that you used to take for granted. You've learned faith because you've had to trust me day by day, sometimes moment by moment, to provide what you need. You've learned generosity even in lack because you've experienced how even a small gift can make a huge difference when you have very little. You've learned to discern between needs and wants because you've had to make hard choices about what's actually necessary. You've learned contentment in circumstances that would make most people bitter and resentful. You've learned to worship me not because of what I give you but because of who I am. These lessons are priceless. And you're about to see why I had to teach them to you now, because the blessing I'm about to release into your life would have corrupted you if you hadn't learned these lessons first. Let me tell you what's been happening in your life that you haven't been aware of. Every time you chose to honor me with your finances even when money was tight, you were sowing seeds. Every time you tithed even though it was scary to give away money you felt you couldn't afford to give, you planted a seed. Every time you gave to someone in need even though you had needs of your own, you sowed a seed. Every time you supported my kingdom work financially even when your own financial situation was shaky, you planted a seed. And child, there's a law in my kingdom that is as reliable as the law of gravity in the natural world. It's the law of seed time and harvest. Whatever you sow, you will reap. And you have been sowing consistently, faithfully, sacrificially. You've been sowing when it hurt to sow. You've been sowing when it didn't make sense to sow. You've been sowing when people told you that you were crazy to give away money you needed for yourself. But you did it anyway because you trusted me. And now it's harvest time. All those seeds you've been planting for months, for years, some of you for decades, they're about to produce a harvest that's going to blow your mind. Because here's how my system of sowing and reaping works. You don't just get back what you gave. You get back multiplied. 30-fold. 60-fold. 100-fold. When a farmer plants one kernel of corn in the ground, he doesn't get one kernel back. He gets a stalk with multiple ears, and each ear has hundreds of kernels. That's multiplication. That's the kind of return I give on what you sow into my kingdom. So when you look at what you've given and think it wasn't much, you're thinking in natural terms. But in kingdom economics, that seed you planted is about to produce a harvest that's so much greater than what you sowed that you won't even be able to make the connection between the two. This week, you're going to start seeing the first fruits of that harvest. Money is coming from unexpected places because I'm releasing the return on seeds you've sown that you've probably forgotten about by now. I also want to address something that might be a hindrance to you receiving what I'm about to release. Some of you have been speaking death over your finances instead of life. You've been saying things like, "I'm always broke. Money just slips through my fingers. I'll never get ahead. I'm cursed when it comes to money. Nothing ever works out for me financially. I'm destined to struggle." Child, your words have power. Proverbs says that death and life are in the power of the tongue. When you speak those negative declarations over your financial situation, you're actually empowering the very thing you don't want. You're giving the enemy legal right to continue the cycle of lack in your life. But starting today, starting right now, I need you to change what you're speaking. I need you to start declaring what I say about your finances instead of what your current circumstances look like. I need you to say, "Money comes to me easily and frequently. I am blessed financially. Provision flows to me from expected and unexpected sources. I have more than enough. I am the head and not the tail. I am above and not beneath. Whatever I put my hand to prospers. I am a conduit of blessing, not just a recipient." When you speak these things, you're not lying or being presumptuous. You're agreeing with what I've already declared over you in my word. You're calling those things that are not as though they were, which is exactly what faith does. You're shifting the atmosphere around your life from one of lack to one of abundance. You're opening your spirit to receive what I'm sending your way. Because here's the thing about what I'm releasing this week. It's already been released in the spiritual realm. The provision is already there, already set aside with your name on it, already on its way to you. But if your mouth is full of doubt and negativity and declarations of lack, you create resistance that slows down or even blocks the manifestation in the natural realm. So I need you to get your words in alignment with my word. Stop speaking the problem and start speaking the solution. Stop describing your current reality and start declaring your future reality. Stop agreeing with the enemy's narrative about your finances and start agreeing with mine. Let me tell you about some people in the Bible who experienced exactly what I'm talking about, provision from unexpected sources. There was a widow in the time of Elijah who was down to her last bit of flour and oil. She was literally preparing what she thought would be her final meal for herself and her son before they died of starvation. The situation was hopeless from a natural perspective. There was a famine in the land. There was no food available to buy even if she had money. She had exhausted every option. She had reached the end of herself. And that's exactly when I showed up. I sent Elijah to her house, and even though it didn't make sense, even though it seemed crazy to give away food when she barely had enough for one meal, she obeyed my instruction through the prophet. She made bread for Elijah first, before feeding herself and her son. And you know what happened next. The flour didn't run out. The oil didn't run dry. Every day when she went to make bread, there was just enough flour and just enough oil for that day. It wasn't a one-time miracle. It was sustained, daily, supernatural provision that lasted throughout the entire famine. She went from preparing to die to having her needs met every single day through a source that should have run out but never did. That's the kind of provision I specialize in. That's the kind of miracle I'm about to do for you. Or consider the Israelites in the wilderness. They had just escaped slavery in Egypt, which was amazing, but now they found themselves in a desert with no food and no water. 2 million people with no access to groceries, no restaurants, no agriculture, nothing but sand and rocks as far as the eye could see. Logically, they should have all died within days. But I didn't bring them out of Egypt to let them starve in the wilderness. So I provided for them in the most unexpected way. I rained down bread from heaven. Every morning when they woke up, there was manna covering the ground. They didn't have to plant it, water it, harvest it, or bake it. They just had to go out and gather it. For 40 years, I fed 2 million people with supernatural provision that showed up every single morning without fail. They didn't have to figure out where the next meal was coming from. They didn't have to stress about provision. They just had to trust that what I provided yesterday, I would provide again today. And I never failed them. Not once in 40 years did the manna fail to show up. That's my track record when it comes to providing for my children. And I haven't changed. Then there's the story of the ravens feeding Elijah. I told Elijah to go hide by a brook during the famine, and I would provide for him there. Now if you were Elijah, you might be wondering how exactly provision was going to work in a hiding place during a famine. And then I sent ravens, unclean birds according to Jewish law, birds that normally steal food rather than deliver it, birds that you would never expect to be instruments of blessing. Twice a day, morning and evening, these ravens brought Elijah bread and meat. Think about how ridiculous that sounds in the natural. Birds bringing room service. But that's exactly what happened, because when I decide to provide for you, I can use absolutely anything and anyone as the delivery system. I'm not limited by what makes sense or what's conventional or what you think is possible. If I can use ravens to feed a prophet, I can certainly orchestrate unexpected sources of provision for you this week. And what about the time when Jesus fed 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fish? A young boy had packed a lunch, probably just enough for himself, maybe planning to share with his family. But when Jesus asked for it, the boy gave it all. He gave away his provision, his security, his meal, everything he had. And Jesus took that small offering, blessed it, broke it, and multiplied it until not only were 5,000 men fed, plus women and children, which could have been 15 to 20,000 people total, but there were 12 baskets of leftovers. More left over than what they started with. That's what happens when you put what you have into my hands. I don't just give you back what you gave. I multiply it beyond anything you could ask or imagine. And the disciples who distributed the food, they got to witness firsthand that when I'm involved, lack is never the final word. Impossibility is never the conclusion. There's always more than enough when you trust me to be your source. I'm telling you these stories not just to give you a history lesson, but to help you understand that the same God who provided for the widow, for the Israelites, for Elijah, for the 5,000, that same God is your God. I haven't lost my power. I haven't lost my willingness to provide. I haven't changed my nature as Jehovah Jireh. What I did for them, I will do for you. And just like their provision came from unexpected sources, sources that didn't make sense in the natural, sources that seemed impossible or unlikely or unconventional, that's exactly how your provision is going to come this week. You're going to look back at how the money showed up and you're going to shake your head in amazement because it won't make logical sense. It won't fit any pattern you're familiar with. It won't be the result of anything you did or planned or orchestrated. It will be undeniably, unmistakably, supernaturally me. Now I want to shift gears for a moment and talk to you about what this financial breakthrough is going to require from you. Because provision from unexpected sources doesn't mean provision without participation. There are some things you need to do this week to position yourself to receive what I'm sending your way. First and most importantly, you need to expect it. I know you've been disappointed before. I know you've hoped and been let down. But I need you to shake off that disappointment and dare to expect again. Expectation creates an opening in the spirit realm for blessing to flow through. When you genuinely expect something to happen, you're more likely to recognize it when it shows up. You're more likely to be in the right place at the right time. You're more likely to say yes to opportunities that present themselves. Expectation positions you to receive. So starting right now, I need you to wake up every morning this week expecting that this could be the day money shows up from an unexpected source. Check your mail expecting a check. Answer your phone expecting good news. Open your email expecting an opportunity. Go through your day with an attitude of expectation, not anxiety. Second, you need to be obedient to my promptings this week. I might tell you to go somewhere that doesn't make sense. Go anyway. I might tell you to call someone you haven't talked to in years. Do it anyway. I might tell you to apply for something that seems out of reach. Apply anyway. I might tell you to give something away when you feel like you can't afford to give. Give anyway. Your obedience is the key that unlocks the door I've already opened. The provision is there, the blessing is ready, but your obedience activates it. So pay very close attention to my voice this week. That subtle prompting you feel, that random thought that pops into your head, that gentle nudge in your spirit, don't dismiss it. That might be me giving you instructions that lead directly to your breakthrough. And when I tell you to do something, don't hesitate, don't analyze it to death, don't wait until it makes sense. Just obey immediately and watch what happens. Third, you need to be a good steward of what you already have, even if it's not much. If your financial situation is a mess right now, if there's chaos and disorder in how you manage money, I can't trust you with more. Not because I'm punishing you, but because more money flowing into a broken system will just create more problems. So this week, even if it's just a little bit, organize what you have. Look at your bills and make a plan. Track your spending. Stop the leaks where money is slipping through your fingers on things you don't need. Create a budget, even a simple one. Start managing intentionally what you currently have access to. This demonstrates to me that you're ready to handle increase. It shows that you understand money is a tool to be stewarded, not just a resource to be consumed. And when I see you being faithful with little, I know I can trust you with much. Fourth, and this is crucial, you need to maintain a posture of worship and gratitude regardless of your current circumstances. It's easy to worship me when the bank account is full. It's easy to praise me when all the bills are paid and there's money left over. But can you worship me when you're struggling? Can you praise me when you don't see a way out? Can you thank me before the breakthrough manifests? That kind of worship moves my heart in ways that worship in abundance never does. When you worship me in the middle of lack, you're declaring that I'm worthy of your praise not because of what I give you but because of who I am. You're saying that your trust in me isn't dependent on your circumstances. You're demonstrating a level of faith that actually shifts things in the spiritual realm. So this week, instead of complaining about your financial situation, worship. Instead of dwelling on what you don't have, thank me for what you do have. Instead of focusing on the problem, focus on my character as provider. Let worship be your default response, not worry. And fifth, you need to guard your mouth. I already mentioned this earlier, but it's so important I'm going to say it again. Stop speaking lack. Stop declaring poverty. Stop agreeing with negative financial reports. Your words are creating your reality. So choose your words carefully this week. When someone asks how you're doing financially, instead of launching into a detailed description of all your problems, simply say, God is providing. I'm believing for breakthrough. My needs are being met. You're not lying when you say this. You're speaking from a place of faith, not from current circumstances. You're declaring the end from the beginning. You're calling those things that are not as though they were. And when you consistently speak life over your finances, you create an atmosphere where provision can manifest. Let me also address those of you who are feeling guilty about your financial situation, like somehow you deserve to struggle because of past financial mistakes. Maybe you made some bad decisions with money. Maybe you got into debt that you shouldn't have gotten into. Maybe you spent foolishly or invested unwisely or trusted the wrong people with your finances. And now you're carrying guilt and shame, thinking that your current struggle is punishment for those mistakes. Child, I need you to hear this clearly. I am not punishing you. Yes, there are natural consequences to unwise financial decisions. Yes, you might be dealing with debt or bad credit or other results of past choices. But I am not withholding blessing from you as punishment. In fact, my desire is to help you recover from those mistakes, to teach you wisdom so you don't repeat them, and to bring you into a place of financial health and freedom. The blood of Jesus covered all your sins, including financial sins. When you repented, I forgave you. And forgiveness means I'm not holding it against you. So stop holding it against yourself. Release the guilt. Let go of the shame. Receive my forgiveness. And position yourself to receive the financial breakthrough I'm sending your way. I also want to talk to some of you who have been giving and giving and giving, sowing seed after seed, and wondering when you're ever going to see a harvest. You've been faithful with your tithes and offerings. You've been generous with people in need. You've supported ministry and kingdom work. You've sown into good soil. But it seems like everyone else is reaping harvest while you're still in planting season. You're starting to wonder if the law of sowing and reaping even works, or if maybe it works for other people but not for you. Let me tell you something. Every seed you've sown is accounted for. Not one has been forgotten or wasted. In Galatians, I tell you not to grow weary in doing good, for in due season you will reap if you don't give up. Due season. There's an appointed time for your harvest. And child, your due season has arrived. This week is the beginning of you reaping a harvest from seeds you've been sowing faithfully for so long. All those times you gave when you could have kept it for yourself, all those times you blessed others when you had needs of your own, all those times you honored me with your finances even when it was a sacrifice, I saw every single one. And I'm about to show you that I am not a debtor to any man. You cannot outgive me. And when I return blessing on what you've sown, I don't do it in small measures. I do it in pressed down, shaken together, running over, more than you can contain measures. Now let me prophesy specifically over your financial situation right now. I declare that unexpected money is coming to you before this week ends. I declare that the exact amount you need is being released from heaven right now. I declare that divine connections are being made that will result in financial blessing. I declare that job opportunities and business deals and contracts and agreements are being arranged in your favor. I declare that people who owe you money are going to pay you. I declare that refunds and rebates and reimbursements are being processed. I declare that ideas for generating income are being downloaded into your spirit. I declare that doors of financial opportunity that have been closed are swinging wide open. I declare that favor is surrounding you like a shield, causing people with resources to notice you and want to bless you. I declare that debts are being canceled, bills are being reduced, and financial burdens are being lifted off your shoulders. I declare that the curse of poverty is broken off your life and off your bloodline. I declare that generational cycles of lack and struggle end with you. I declare that you are entering a season of more than enough, a season of overflow, a season of abundance that will enable you not just to meet your own needs but to be a blessing to others. I declare that your children will not have to struggle the way you've struggled. I declare that the financial wisdom and stewardship you're learning in this season will be passed down as an inheritance. I declare that you are shifting from being someone who needs help to being someone who provides help. I declare that you are moving from the borrower position to the lender position. I declare that lack will no longer be your portion, struggle will no longer be your story, and barely making it will no longer be your experience. I declare that you are blessed coming in and blessed going out. I declare that whatever you put your hand to will prosper. I declare that you are the head and not the tail, above and not beneath, and that financial blessing will chase you down and overtake you. I declare these things not as wishful thinking but as prophetic decree, sealed in the blood of Jesus, backed by the authority of my word, and guaranteed by my covenant faithfulness. But here's what I need you to understand about receiving this prophetic word. Prophecy is not automatic. It requires partnership. When I speak a prophetic word over your life, I'm showing you what's possible, what's available, what I've prepared for you. But you have to receive it, believe it, act on it, and position yourself in agreement with it. You can't be passive about this. You can't just hear these words, think they sound nice, and then go right back to operating in fear and doubt and lack mentality. You have to grab hold of this word. You have to meditate on it. You have to declare it over yourself. You have to let it renew your mind and shift your expectations. You have to align your thoughts, your words, and your actions with what I've spoken. This word is a seed. But seeds don't produce harvest if they just sit on the surface. They have to be planted in good soil, watered, protected, and given time to grow. Your heart is the soil. Your faith is the water. Your obedience is the protection. And this week is the growing season that leads to harvest. I also want to address the fear that some of you have about receiving financial blessing. It might sound strange that anyone would be afraid of blessing, but some of you are. You're afraid that if I bless you financially, you'll mess it up. You'll fall into pride or greed or materialism. You'll lose your dependency on me. You'll stop praying as much or seeking me as much because you won't feel the urgency that comes from need. You're afraid that money will change you in negative ways, that it will corrupt you or distract you from what really matters. And honestly, those are valid concerns because I've seen it happen. I've seen people who were on fire for me when they were struggling, but when I blessed them with abundance, they forgot about me. They got so busy enjoying the blessing that they neglected the relationship with the one who gave the blessing. But child, that's not going to be your story. Do you know how I know? Because the very fact that you're concerned about it shows that your heart is in the right place. The people who fall into those traps are the people who never even consider the possibility that money could be a spiritual danger. They rush after it without any awareness that it requires wisdom and character to handle well. But you're different. You've been through the process of character development in the wilderness of lack. You've learned the lessons I needed you to learn. You've developed the spiritual maturity to handle abundance without it destroying you. So don't be afraid of the blessing I'm about to release. Instead, prepare to steward it well. Let me tell you what proper stewardship of financial blessing looks like. First, it means you honor me first with everything that comes in. Before you pay bills, before you spend on yourself, before you do anything else, you give me the first portion. This isn't because I need your money. I own everything. I'm not broke. But tithing is an act of worship and acknowledgement that everything you have comes from me. It's you saying, God, you're first in my life, and I demonstrate that by giving you the first portion of my income. When you honor me with the firstfruits, I promise to rebuke the devourer for your sake. I promise to open the windows of heaven and pour out blessing that you won't have room enough to contain. I promise to make sure the 90% you have left goes further than the 100% would have gone if you'd kept it all. So don't neglect tithing when the money starts flowing. In fact, that's when it's most important to stay faithful in it. Second, proper stewardship means you're generous with others. You don't hoard the blessing. You let it flow through you to bless other people. You become a conduit, not a storage unit. When you see someone in need and you have the means to help, you help. You don't hesitate or make excuses or wait for them to prove they deserve it. You give because you've been given. You bless because you've been blessed. You show the same grace and mercy to others that I've shown to you. And here's the beautiful mystery of kingdom economics. The more you give away, the more I give to you. It's completely backwards from how the world system works, but it's absolutely how my system works. You can't outgive me. So be ridiculously generous when I bless you. Third, proper stewardship means you save and invest wisely. Having money doesn't mean you spend it all. It means you manage it intelligently. You create an emergency fund so that when unexpected expenses come up, you're not thrown back into crisis mode. You invest in things that will generate return over time. You make plans for the future, for retirement, for your children's education, for kingdom projects that are close to my heart. You don't live paycheck to paycheck even when the paychecks get bigger. You create margin. You build reserves. You think long-term, not just immediate gratification. And fourth, proper stewardship means you maintain a simple lifestyle even when you could afford a more extravagant one. You don't have to spend every dollar you make to prove you have it. You don't have to upgrade everything just because you can. You live below your means so that you always have resources available to respond to opportunities to give, to invest, to bless, to advance my kingdom. You're not defined by what you own or wear or drive. Your identity is in me, not in your possessions. So when I bless you financially, it doesn't change who you are at your core. You're still humble, still grateful, still dependent on me, still more interested in eternal things than temporal things. Now let me talk to those of you who are believing not just for your own financial breakthrough, but for the ability to bless your family. Maybe you have parents who sacrificed so much to raise you, and you've always wanted to be able to bless them financially, but you've never had the means. Maybe you have children and you hate that you can't give them the things they need, that you have to say no to school activities or clothes or experiences because you simply can't afford it. Maybe you have siblings who are struggling and you wish you could help them, but you're barely making it yourself. Child, I see that desire in your heart to be a blessing to your family. And I'm telling you right now, that desire is about to be fulfilled. The provision that's coming to you this week is not just for you. It's for you to steward in a way that blesses your entire family. You're going to be able to help your parents. You're going to be able to provide for your children. You're going to be able to support your siblings. You're going to be the answer to their prayers in the same way that I'm the answer to yours. And when they ask you how you suddenly have the means to help them, you're going to tell them about my faithfulness. You're going to tell them that it's not because you got lucky or worked harder or made smart investments. It's because you serve a God who provides. And your testimony is going to strengthen their faith and draw them closer to me. I also want to speak to those of you who have been believing for financial breakthrough so you can finally pursue the calling I've placed on your life. Maybe I called you to start a ministry, but you haven't had the financial freedom to do it. Maybe I called you to go back to school, but you couldn't afford it. Maybe I called you to start a business that would glorify me, but you didn't have the startup capital. Maybe I called you to adopt a child or support an orphanage or fund a missions trip, but the money wasn't there. And so the calling has been on hold, waiting for provision to catch up to purpose. Child, the wait is over. The money that's coming to you this week is going to open doors for you to step into your calling. This is not just about paying bills, though your bills will absolutely get paid. This is about funding destiny. This is about providing resources for you to do what I created you to do. So get ready. Start making plans. Start taking steps of faith toward the thing I've called you to do. Because the excuse of, I can't afford it, is about to be removed, let me shift gears now and talk about something that might be blocking your financial breakthrough even though you've been praying and believing. Unforgiveness. I know that might seem unrelated to finances, but stay with me. Some of you have been holding on to resentment and bitterness toward people who hurt you financially. Maybe a business partner betrayed you and cost you everything. Maybe a family member borrowed money and never paid it back. Maybe an employer took advantage of you or didn't pay you what you were worth. Maybe a friend got you involved in a bad investment that wiped you out. Maybe an ex-spouse left you with debt that wasn't your responsibility. And you've been carrying anger and unforgiveness toward these people, feeling completely justified in your bitterness because what they did was genuinely wrong. But child, I need you to hear this. That unforgiveness is creating a blockage in the spiritual realm that's preventing blessing from flowing freely into your life. It's like trying to pour water through a clogged pipe. The water is there, the source is unlimited, but the blockage prevents it from getting through. When you refuse to forgive, you're actually putting yourself in prison. You think you're punishing the person who wronged you by withholding forgiveness, but really you're only hurting yourself. They've moved on with their life while you're stuck replaying the offense over and over, keeping the wound fresh, poisoning your own spirit with bitterness. So here's what I need you to do this week as part of positioning yourself for financial breakthrough. I need you to forgive. I need you to release every person who has ever hurt you financially. Not because they deserve it. Not because they've apologized or made it right. But because I'm asking you to, and because your freedom depends on it. Forgiveness doesn't mean what they did was okay. It doesn't mean there shouldn't be consequences. It doesn't mean you have to trust them again or let them back into your life. Forgiveness simply means you're releasing them from the debt they owe you and you're putting them in my hands to deal with. You're saying, God, what they did hurt me, but I'm choosing to let it go. I'm choosing to trust that you will be my vindicator, my redeemer, my restorer. I don't need revenge. I don't need them to suffer. I just need to be free from the bitterness that's been eating me alive. And when you make that choice to forgive, something breaks in the spiritual realm. The blockage dissolves. The pipe clears. And blessing can flow freely again. I want to be very specific about what's going to happen when the money starts showing up this week. Some of you are going to receive it and immediately know exactly where it came from and why. It's going to be obvious. Someone is going to hand you cash or send you a check or transfer money into your account, and you'll be able to trace it directly to a specific source. But for others of you, the provision is going to show up in such mysterious ways that you won't even be able to explain how it happened. You're going to find money you didn't know you had. You're going to receive payments you weren't expecting. You're going to discover resources you'd forgotten about. You're going to experience financial increase that you can't attribute to any particular action or decision on your part. It's just going to show up. And when it does, I don't want you to dismiss it as coincidence or luck or good timing. I want you to recognize it as divine intervention. I want you to acknowledge that it's my hand at work in your situation. Because when you recognize my provision and give me glory for it, it positions you to receive even more. Let me also prepare you for how the enemy is going to respond when your financial breakthrough starts manifesting. He's not going to be happy about it. He's going to try to steal it, kill it, or destroy it before you can fully receive and steward it. He might attack your mind with thoughts like, this isn't going to last. Something bad is going to happen and you're going to lose it all. You don't deserve this. You're going to mess this up just like you've messed up everything else. Don't receive those thoughts. Recognize them as lies from the enemy and reject them immediately. Replace them with truth. Remind yourself that you're blessed, that I've promised to provide for you, that no weapon formed against you will prosper, that I'm faithful to complete what I've started in your life. The enemy might also try to create emergencies or unexpected expenses the moment money shows up, trying to drain it away before you can use it for what I intended. A car breaks down. An appliance stops working. A medical issue comes up. Something happens that requires money right when you finally have some. Don't panic when this happens. Don't assume that you're never going to get ahead. Recognize it as spiritual warfare and stand your ground. Declare that the devourer is rebuked, that your provision is protected, that what I've released cannot be stolen. I also want to address those of you who have been in financial struggle for so long that you've started to believe the lie that it's just your lot in life, that some people are meant to be poor and you're one of them. That's absolutely not true. Poverty is not a spiritual gift. Lack is not a badge of holiness. I never called you to a life of perpetual financial struggle. Yes, I call you to be content in whatever circumstances you find yourself. Yes, I call you to trust me whether you have much or little. Yes, I call you to find your satisfaction in me, not in material possessions. But none of that means I want you to be poor. In fact, throughout Scripture, I consistently blessed my people financially when they walked in obedience. Abraham was very wealthy. Isaac sowed in a time of famine and reaped 100-fold. Jacob prospered exceedingly. Joseph went from prisoner to second in command of the most powerful nation on earth with access to unlimited resources. David accumulated massive wealth. Solomon's wealth was legendary. Job was the wealthiest man in the East, lost everything, and then I restored double what he had before. The early church experienced such abundance that no one among them had need because those who had shared generously with those who didn't. This idea that godliness means poverty is not biblical. What is biblical is that your treasure should be in heaven, not on earth. Your identity should be in me, not in your bank account. Your security should rest in me, not in your assets. But there's nothing wrong with having wealth as long as wealth doesn't have you. I want to speak now to those of you who have children and you're worried about how your financial struggles have affected them. You hate that they've had to do without. You hate that you've had to say no to things they wanted. You hate that they've seen you stressed and worried about money. You're afraid that they're going to grow up with a scarcity mindset or that they're going to resent you for not being able to provide better for them. Child, let me ease your mind about this. Your children are going to be fine. In fact, what you think has been damaging them has actually been teaching them valuable lessons. They're learning that stuff doesn't equal happiness. They're learning to be grateful for what they have instead of always wanting more. They're learning to be creative and resourceful. They're learning that family is more important than material things. They're learning to trust me because they've watched you trust me. And most importantly, they're about to witness a powerful testimony of my faithfulness that's going to mark them for the rest of their lives. When they see me provide for your family in supernatural ways, when they see the shift from struggle to abundance, when they hear you testify about how I came through, it's going to build faith in them that will serve them well throughout their entire lives. So don't feel guilty about what they've gone through. Instead, use this season of breakthrough that's coming as a teaching moment. Show them how to honor me with finances. Show them how to be generous. Show them how to manage money wisely. Show them that our trust is in me, not in our bank account. Let me talk now about the long-term plan I have for your finances, because this week's breakthrough is just the beginning, not the destination. What's coming to you this week is going to meet your immediate needs and provide relief from current financial pressure, but I'm not just interested in a one-time miracle. I'm interested in establishing you in a place of sustained financial health, consistent provision, and ongoing abundance. I'm not bringing you out of poverty just to put you right back in it. I'm not providing for you this week just to let you struggle again next week. I'm initiating a shift in your financial reality that's going to have long-term impact. But this shift requires partnership. It requires you to learn principles of biblical stewardship and apply them consistently. It requires you to develop new habits and break old patterns. It requires you to renew your mind about money and align your thinking with my word. So while you celebrate the breakthrough that's coming this week, I also need you to commit to the process of long-term financial transformation. One of the keys to sustained financial blessing is consistency in honoring me with your finances. It's not enough to tithe when you have extra or when you feel like it or when it's convenient. You need to honor me first with every single increase that comes into your life, whether it's a paycheck or a gift or a refund or an unexpected blessing. Make it a non-negotiable habit. Before you pay any bill, before you spend anything on yourself, you give me the first portion. This demonstrates trust that I will provide for your needs even after you've given me what's mine. It positions you to receive the blessings I promise to those who honor me with their finances. And it protects you from the temptation to make money your God instead of keeping me in first place. When tithing is a discipline you practice faithfully regardless of circumstances, it becomes a foundation for every other blessing I want to release in your life. In fact, let me tell you why I want to bless you financially. It's not just so you can be comfortable, though I do care about your needs being met. It's not just so you can stop stressing, though I do want you to have peace. The primary reason I want to bless you financially is so you can be a blessing to my kingdom. I want to put resources in your hands that you will then use to advance the gospel, to feed the hungry, to care for orphans and widows, to support ministries that are doing my work, to send missionaries to unreached places, to build churches, to create media that spreads truth, to fund projects that bring transformation to communities. I'm looking for people I can trust with wealth, people who won't worship it or hoard it or use it selfishly, but who will steward it as faithful managers of what belongs to me. And based on what I've seen in your heart, based on how you've handled the little you've had, based on your faithfulness in the wilderness season, I know I can trust you with more. That's why this breakthrough is coming. Not just to bless you, but to bless others through you. Now let me talk very practically about what you should do when the money shows up. First, before you do anything else, stop and thank me. Don't just mentally acknowledge it. Actually take time to worship, to express gratitude, to give me glory for providing. This sets the right tone and keeps your heart in the right posture. Second, tithe immediately. Don't wait until Sunday or until it's convenient. Honor me first with the first fruits. Third, take care of your most pressing needs. If there's a bill that's past due or a necessity you've been going without, address that. But do it wisely, not impulsively. Don't go on a spending spree. Make thoughtful decisions about what's truly necessary. Fourth, if there's anything left after tithing and meeting immediate needs, save some of it. Even if it's just a small amount, start building a financial cushion. And fifth, ask me what I want you to do with it. I might tell you to bless a specific person. I might tell you to sow into a particular ministry. I might tell you to invest it in a certain way. Don't assume you know what to do with it. Seek my guidance because the money I'm sending has a purpose beyond just meeting your needs. Let me also address something that's important. Some of you are going to receive this financial breakthrough, and the first thing you're going to want to do is tell everyone about it. You're going to be so excited that you're going to post about it on social media, talk about it with friends, share every detail with family. And while I understand the excitement and the desire to testify about my goodness, I need you to be wise about this. Not everyone is going to be happy for you. Some people are going to be jealous. Some are going to think you're bragging. Some are going to immediately start asking you for money. Some are going to question whether you really deserved it or whether it's really from me or whether you're handling it properly. So be discerning about who you share your financial testimony with. Yes, give me glory. Yes, let people know that I provided. But you don't have to share every detail with every person. There's a difference between testimony and TMI. Guard your blessing. Protect what I've given you. And be selective about who gets access to information about your finances. Another key to sustained financial blessing is learning contentment. This might sound contradictory. You might be thinking, wait, I thought you were bringing me into abundance. Now you're telling me to be content. But contentment and abundance are not opposites. In fact, you can't truly steward abundance well without contentment. Contentment means you're satisfied with what you have while still being open to receive more. It means you're not constantly chasing after more, driven by a sense that you never have enough. It means you're grateful for what you currently possess even as you believe for increase. It means your happiness and peace don't depend on your financial situation. Paul said he learned to be content whether he had plenty or whether he was in need. That's the mindset I want you to develop. When you're content, you can't be manipulated by advertising or peer pressure or societal expectations about what you should own or how you should live. You can't be driven by greed or comparison or the need to impress others. You make financial decisions from a place of peace and wisdom rather than from a place of lack or insecurity or the fear of missing out. I also want you to understand the importance of breaking generational cycles of poverty. Some of you come from families where financial struggle has been the norm for generations. Your parents struggled. Their parents struggled. Going back as far as you can trace, there's been a pattern of lack and barely making it. And the enemy wants you to believe that this is just how it is for your family, that you're destined to repeat the same pattern, that poverty is your inheritance. But I'm telling you right now, that cycle ends with you. The breakthrough that's coming this week is not just for you personally. It's a breakthrough for your entire bloodline. You are the generation that breaks free from poverty and establishes a new legacy of blessing for your children and grandchildren. But this requires intentionality on your part. You have to make different choices than previous generations made. You have to think differently about money. You have to operate according to kingdom principles instead of worldly systems. You have to teach your children how to handle money wisely so they don't repeat the mistakes of the past. You have to be intentional about creating wealth that can be passed down as an inheritance. Proverbs says that a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. That's the vision I have for you, not just provision for yourself but overflow that blesses multiple generations. Let me address those of you who have significant debt. Credit card debt, student loans, medical bills, car loans, personal loans, maybe even bankruptcy in your past. The debt feels like a mountain you'll never be able to climb. You're paying minimum payments but the principal barely goes down because of interest. You feel trapped, like you're never going to be free from it. And the enemy uses that debt to keep you in bondage, to make you feel hopeless, to steal your peace, to limit your ability to obey when I call you to give or to step out in faith. But I'm telling you right now, that debt is coming down. Not all at once necessarily, though I'm certainly capable of wiping it out in a moment. But whether it's sudden cancellation or accelerated payoff or supernatural favor that reduces what you owe, you are going to see that debt decrease significantly. And as it does, I'm going to teach you how to live debt-free so you don't end up right back in the same situation. I'm going to teach you to distinguish between needs and wants, to delay gratification, to save up and pay cash instead of using credit, to live below your means instead of constantly stretching beyond them. Freedom from debt is one of the greatest financial blessings you can experience because it frees up your income to be used for kingdom purposes instead of being sent to creditors every month. Now I want to talk about the difference between provision and prosperity, because there's a distinction that's important for you to understand. Provision is me meeting your needs. It's daily bread. It's enough for today. It's manna in the wilderness. Provision is essential, it's faithful, it's consistent, and I promise it to everyone who trusts me. But prosperity is different. Prosperity is abundance beyond your needs. It's overflow. It's more than enough. It's 12 baskets of leftovers after everyone has eaten their fill. Prosperity enables you not just to meet your own needs but to meet the needs of others. It gives you the ability to be generous, to support kingdom work, to create opportunities, to leave an inheritance. Both provision and prosperity come from me, but they require different levels of stewardship and responsibility. Everyone can trust me for provision, but not everyone can be trusted with prosperity. Prosperity in the hands of someone who's not spiritually mature enough to handle it becomes a snare and a trap. But prosperity in the hands of someone who's been developed and prepared and tested, someone who's learned to honor me first and be generous and manage wisely, that person becomes a distribution center for blessing that impacts not just their own life but countless other lives. Here's what I'm saying. The breakthrough that's coming to you this week is provision. It's me meeting your current needs and giving you relief from immediate financial pressure. But if you steward this breakthrough well, if you apply the principles I'm teaching you, if you continue to honor me and walk in obedience, this provision is going to lead to prosperity. You're going to move from just having enough to having more than enough. From barely making it to having overflow. From being blessed to being a blessing. But you can't rush this process. You can't skip steps. You have to let me develop you at each level before I can trust you with the next level. So receive the provision that's coming this week with gratitude and humility. Steward it faithfully. And trust that as you prove faithful with this, I will increase your capacity and your resources until you're walking in the kind of prosperity that enables you to make a significant impact for my kingdom. Let me also address the issue of comparison, because this is something that trips up a lot of people when it comes to finances. You look at other people and they seem to have so much more than you. They drive nicer cars, live in bigger houses, take expensive vacations, wear designer clothes, eat at fancy restaurants, and it seems like money flows easily to them while you're barely scraping by. And you start to wonder why they're blessed and you're not. You start to question whether I love them more or whether they're doing something right that you're doing wrong. But child, you have no idea what's really going on in their financial situation. That nice car might be leased and they're drowning in payments they can't afford. That big house might be mortgaged to the hilt. Those vacations might be financed by credit cards that are maxed out. Those designer clothes might be worn by someone who can't pay their electric bill. Social media and external appearances are not accurate reflections of true financial health. So stop comparing yourself to others. Stop measuring your blessing against someone else's blessing. Stop assuming that what you see on the surface tells the whole story. Your financial journey is between you and me. I know exactly what you need. I know the right timing for increase in your life. I know how much you can handle at each stage of your development. Trust my plan for you instead of envying what I'm doing in someone else's life. I want to talk to those of you who have been faithful tithers and givers throughout your season of financial struggle, and yet it seems like people who don't honor me at all are prospering more than you are. This bothers you. It feels unfair. You're doing things the right way, honoring me with your finances even when it's hard, and yet the wicked seem to prosper. The psalmist wrestled with this same question. He looked at the prosperity of the wicked and it troubled him until he went into the sanctuary and understood their end. Here's what you need to understand. Temporary prosperity means nothing compared to eternal reward. There are people who have wealth in this life but no treasure in heaven. They're rich for 70 or 80 years and then they face eternity without me, without reward, without anything to show for their life. But you, child, you're storing up treasure in heaven that will last forever. Every act of obedience, every sacrifice of giving when it was hard, every time you honored me first even when you could barely afford to, it's all being recorded in heaven. It's all building up an eternal reward that far surpasses any temporary earthly prosperity. So don't envy those who seem to prosper without me. Pity them instead, because they have their reward in full right now and there's nothing waiting for them in eternity. Let me speak to your identity for a moment, because how you see yourself affects everything, including your finances. Some of you have been identifying yourself by your financial situation. You call yourself poor. You think of yourself as someone who struggles with money. You've internalized the message that you're not good with finances, that you'll never get ahead, that you're destined to struggle. But that's not who you are. Your identity is not found in your bank account or your credit score or your financial situation. Your identity is found in me. You are a child of the King. You are an heir of God and co-heir with Christ. You are blessed. You are redeemed. You are chosen. You are loved. You are provided for. You are the head and not the tail. You are above and not beneath. That's who you really are. And when you start seeing yourself through the lens of your true identity instead of through the lens of your temporary circumstances, everything shifts. You start making decisions from a place of blessing instead of from a place of lack. You start expecting good things instead of expecting struggle. You start believing that breakthrough is not only possible but inevitable because you're a child of a Father who owns everything and withholds no good thing from those who walk uprightly. I want to prepare you for what happens after the breakthrough manifests. There's going to be a temptation to go back to old patterns once the immediate crisis is relieved. When the bills are caught up and there's food in the pantry and the pressure is off, it's easy to relax your guard and slip back into habits that created problems in the first place. Spending without thinking. Not tracking where money goes. Making impulsive purchases. Neglecting to save. Forgetting to honor me first. This is why so many people experience temporary breakthrough but never establish sustained financial health. They get a windfall and it solves their immediate problem, but within weeks or months they're right back where they started because they didn't change their habits. Don't let that be your story. When the breakthrough comes, double down on good stewardship. Get more intentional, not less. Establish systems and habits that will keep you on track. Maybe that means creating a budget and actually following it. Maybe it means setting up automatic transfers to savings so you're building reserves. Maybe it means getting an accountability partner who will ask you hard questions about your financial decisions. Maybe it means taking a financial course to learn principles you were never taught growing up. Whatever it takes, make the changes necessary to establish a new normal that leads to long-term financial health.